We're always told that power comes from having the right words, from being a great speaker, from filling the air with our brilliant ideas. But what if I told you the greatest source of authority comes from the exact opposite? Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful and honestly counterintuitive laws of power, saying less than necessary. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Think about it. You're in a high stakes meeting, maybe a tense argument or even a job interview. What's the most powerful weapon in your arsenal? Is it some killer fact, a really witty comeback, or is it something else? It's this. That feeling right there, that tension, that little bit of uncertainty, that void that your mind is scrambling to fill right now. That, my friends, is the raw power of silence. All right, let's dig into why this works. We're going to start with the most basic rule of all. The more you talk, the more you expose yourself. It's kind of like your words are windows into your mind, and sometimes you just need to pull the blinds down. So here's the core principle. Power isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being the most profound. When you're constantly talking, you just become background noise. You're predictable. But when you hold back, whoa, you create this aura of mystery. People can't get a read on you, and that ambiguity is exactly where your authority begins to grow. I mean, think about it this way. Every single word that comes out of your mouth is a piece of information you're giving away for free. It shows your cards, your intentions, your weaknesses, your limits. In the high-stakes game of power, information is everything, and the person who talks too much is always the first to go broke. And listen, this isn't just some clever social maneuver. It's a deep, deep psychological hack. Let's get into the why of it. Why silence has such an insane command over our brains. It really taps into our fundamental fear of the unknown. Our brains are wired to make sense of everything. We absolutely cannot stand a vacuum of information. So when you stay quiet in a conversation, the other person starts to feel uneasy. Their mind just scrambles to fill that silence, to figure out what you're thinking. And in doing that, they end up revealing their own thoughts, their own fears, and their own strategies. And this is a perfect illustration of what goes on in their head. Just look at these assumptions. They start projecting power onto you. They think you're super confident, or that you're sitting on some secret information, or heck, that you might be a genius. Your silence becomes a blank canvas, and their own imagination does all the heavy lifting of building up your authority. There's a real cognitive bias at play here. As humans, we just automatically connect vagueness and mystery with depth. A simple, direct statement, it's easy to process and dismiss. But an ambiguous one, our brains go into overdrive, assuming there are hidden layers of meaning, which makes the speaker seem way more intelligent and strategic than they might actually be. Okay, so this isn't just theory. This is a strategy that has been used by some of the most powerful people in all of history. Let's take a look at a couple of absolute masters who built their influence on the power of saying almost nothing. And here we've got the perfect case study. It's a tale of two guys. On one side, you have King Louis XIV of France, the Sun King. He didn't rule with big speeches, he ruled with a terrifying silence. And on the other side, his minister, Nicolas Fouquet. A brilliant man, no doubt, but he literally talked himself out of power and into a prison cell. His constant bragging and big plans just screamed ambition, and the king saw it as a direct threat. I mean, can you just imagine being at his court? Nobles would work for weeks on some grand proposal, they'd present it to him, and the king might just say, "I shall see." Or not even that, just a nod, and the whole court would erupt into a frenzy, trying to figure out what he meant. This kept everyone completely off balance, fighting for his unspoken approval. His silence was his ultimate tool of dominance. Now let's jump forward a few centuries to the White House. Here we find another master of this art, President Calvin Coolidge. He literally earned the nickname Silent Cal because he was famous for his brevity. He knew that in the world of politics, every unnecessary word is a potential landmine. And this one story just says it all. He was at a dinner party, and a woman came up to him and said she'd made a bet that she could get him to say more than 2 words. His reply? "You lose." 2 words. Not only did he win her bet, but he also cemented his entire mystique. People didn't see it as weakness. They saw it as incredible self-control and wisdom. So all these stories about kings and presidents are great, but what about us? How can we actually use this in our day-to-day lives? Let's break down a simple way you can apply strategic silence to earn respect and hold on to your power. Okay, so here's the playbook. It's pretty straightforward. First, you have to fight that impulse to just blurt something out. Bite your tongue. Second, you let that silence hang in the air and create that ambiguity we talked about. Third, your calmness in that moment is what commands attention. It projects total confidence. From there, you get to control how they interpret the situation because their imagination is doing all the work. And finally, by doing all this, you preserve your power. Simple as that.
And you can see how this works in the real world. In a negotiation, every word you don't say is leverage you get to keep. In a leadership role, saying less signals discipline and makes your words count more. And in just a regular conversation, try this one tonight. Don't rush to fill every pause. Just wait. You will be absolutely amazed at what the other person volunteers to tell you.
I want this one to really sink in. We have all been there. The second a dumb or angry word leaves your mouth, you wish you could snatch it out of the air. We've all felt that regret. But think about it. Have you ever deeply regretted not saying something in a moment of tension? Probably not. Silence is your armor.
So the big takeaway is this. Silence isn't passive. It's not empty space. It is an active, strategic force. It's the pressure of what's unsaid that can shape a situation far more than any big speech ever could. The real question isn't whether it works. The question is, are you willing to use it?